Vintage Sweatshirts, Part 2. So these are in no particular order. And this niche, we covered all the graphic styles in the last video, which was way too short, I feel like. This video here, we're going to cover the branded styles, the spell outs, and the sweatshirts that are about the brands. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a Champion sweatshirt, but it has a sports team on it. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a Champion sweatshirt that says Champion across the front. So there's a whole bunch of different sweatshirts. This video should fill in the gap that the last video left behind. So these are in no order, like I said. Let's start with Abercrombie and Fitch. The sell-through rate for these is 63%. So people are asking too much for a lot of these, which is good for you because you can ask the right amount and sell it quick. So what's selling for these is exactly what you would think. The ones that have the big spell out, the embroidery, the sewn-on letters, 90s Abercrombies that look like this. That's what you want. The best you can hope for is $40. This is the most money anyone's got in 90 days. So don't ask for more than that, no matter how good it is. The chances are high you're not going to get it. Next we have Adidas. Again, this is just the spell outs, the ones that are about the Adidas brand. The sell-through rate on these is 26%, which is horrible. Most of them are garbage, but the ones you want to look out for, let's look at the solds. These are the ones you want to look for. Just kind of scroll down and take a look. So the ones with the 3 stripes are selling okay, but the ones with the trefoil have always done a little better for me. They call it the trefoil. I don't know why people try to be fancy. I would have put leaf in your title too, because people that want those don't necessarily all know it's called trefoil. So keep leaf in your mind because that's something that regular people will look for. So the best selling ones are ones that look like this. The big boxy, this one here, they probably got 80 or so bucks. That's a really good one. Trefoil red spell out. So look for the ones with the big leaves, the multicolored 90s look. Those are what you want to look for. In the best possible scenario with an Adidas is you're going to come out, if you're lucky, around $100. That's not counting the Run DMC ones, which were covered in the last video. Those go for a lot more. So if you want to learn about those, check out my last video. Next we have Anchor Blue. Not as good as you might think. Now the jeans do really well in this brand. The vintage 90s Anchor Blue baggy jeans, they do great. Some of the t-shirts do okay. Sweatshirts, it's not their greatest niche, but the sell-through rate's 23%. A lot of it's garbage. This is what's out there now. People are asking $50. It's not going to happen. Here's the solds. We got $30 for this one. It's a hoodie. Hoodies tend to sell for more, not always. But this one is the most expensive, best-selling one in the last 90 days. $50. It's the brown Anchor Blue pullover from the 90s with the big embroidery on the front. That might actually just be screen printed. So Anchor Blue, not as good as you might think. But if you find one that looks like this, that's a hoodie with a sewn-on patch, pick it up. It'd be worth it. Next we have Polo Ralph Lauren. Sell-through rate, 52% across the whole brand on sweatshirts, vintage sweatshirt spell-outs. The spell-out Ralph Lauren's, which is what we're focusing on, the ones that are about the brand. We're not talking about the teddy bears. We're not talking about all the themed ones. We're talking about Ralph Lauren for Ralph Lauren's sake. Not quite as good. But still, if you find a 90s one with a big spell-out, definitely pick it up. The best case scenario, the highest price one you're going to get is around $300. The big USA quarter or half zip with the flag, this is going to be your best bet for the spell out style Polo Ralph Lauren's. $129 for the whole suit. USA Polo. So you see the theme here. USA Polo, that's the one you want. Anything that says Polo USA, like this, Polo Jeans Company, or it has a flag, that's what you want. This here, of course, this got $85. Of course it did. Look at it. So I hope you're starting to see a common theme here. Colorful, big embroidery. All right. Hugo Boss, sell-through rate on this guy as a brand, vintage sweatshirts, 56%, which is pretty good considering it's not a small brand. People are asking 28, 50, 59, as usual. trying to get way more than it's worth. Look at the solds. You do see there are some Hugo Boss solds here that they got probably 25, 30. 109 for that. It seems like an outlier. Yeah, so not many of them have sold. You need to keep that in mind, that it's not a great brand for vintage sweatshirts, but you can find some that will sell for good money. If it has the big logo, it's embroidered, or it's a hoodie, you can expect to make a little money on them. In general, though, not one of the better ones. Tommy Hilfiger, they had a moment. The vintage ones, 17% sell through. They mass produce it. There's a lot of it out there. You would want to look for the ones that actually sell. Yeah, the big Hilfiger, the sewn-on letters, Tommy jeans, the color block. You know what to look for. That's the kind of stuff that sells for Tommy Hilfiger vintage sweatshirts. The highest priced Tommy Hilfiger, $68 on this one. Probably close to 85 on that one, just a guess. You want the big color block, you want the big spell outs, you want Tommy jeans, you want the blue, white, red. So you can get, $40 to $50 for a really good one with the Tommy Hilfiger. But most of them are garbage. So if it doesn't have the big Tommy jeans, the big patch, leave it behind. Next we have Nike. There's a lot of this stuff out there. Always been mass produced. Most of it's garbage. The vintage Nike spell out style sweatshirts can be pretty good if you pick up the right ones. Sell-through rate 74%. So this one doesn't count. This doesn't count. But you see this one does. The distressed Nike, $25, $27, $22. You see there's a lot of Jordan stuff. The vintage Jordans, I'm just going to say generally pick it up. There's no need to go through it. If you see a vintage Jordan from the 90s, grab it. The best of the Nikes is going to be this stuff. $850 for this BOLO tennis Agassi Challenge. So the ones that go for the most are not just Nike. It's Nike Jordan, Nike Agassi Challenge, Nike Sharks, Nike Jordan. This we went over in the last video. So the ones that are just Nike with the swoosh and stuff, not that great. But if you find them and they're vintage from the 90s, pick them up. Check the sell-through rate because it's always changing. And go for the bigger sizes. Next we have American Eagle. Just a mall brand from the 90s, but for some reason that stuff is selling pretty good these days. The sell-through rate's terrible. Really terrible. American Eagle in general, leave it behind. There are a few exceptions, and let's look at those right now. If you find a vintage Y2K or 90s American Eagle with a big embroidery and it's a hoodie or a zip hoodie or a pullover hoodie, consider picking it up. All the solds that anyone cares about are hoodies. So make a mental note, don't mess with vintage American Eagle sweatshirts unless they're hoodies. And then don't expect more than $25, $26. There might be a couple outliers where someone gets 40 or something, but no. Banana Republic, another mall brand from the 90s. It's got a terrible, terrible sell-through rate, as you might expect. Most of it's garbage. Leave it behind 90% of the time. The ones you want to look for, without fail, are the ones that say Banana Republic across the front. Usually a hoodie, sometimes just a sweatshirt, but those are the only ones worth picking up. The ones that sold for the most are the ones I just showed you. Banana Republic across the front, hoodie, or sweatshirt. Anything else, don't even bother messing with it. Leave it there. There's no point. No one wants it. Eddie Bauer, sell-through rate 40%. Not too bad for considering what a big brand it is. The ones you want to look for, these are the actives right now. No one's going to get $39. Actually, they might. That's the old one. So the hoodies are popular. The old vintage sweatshirts with the little V-neck on the front. Eddie Bauer across the front, either embroidered or silk screened. They're the big boxy sweatshirts from the 90s. Hoodies. So the most valuable, right there. Big Eddie Bauer patches, sewn on letters or embroidered. If it's not that, leave it. Yeah, 34 consistently. The thing about these Eddie Bauers, they're not worth a ton of money, but they do sell really well if you find this one. So it's a consistent seller if it's that. If it's anything else, do not waste your time. It's going to be a mistake. Next we have Champion. One of the bigger brands for vintage sweatshirts. There's a whole long section on that little short video I put out before about Champion. So Champion, for champion's sake, spell outs, branded. There's some good ones, but in general, the sell-through rate 17%. Leave it behind for the most part if it's Champion for champion's sake. The ones you want to get are the spell outs, the reverse weaves, the multicolored stripes, and you can see here there's not really many deviations from the ones that sell. It's the big full chest Champion. That's what sells. I don't know why they got $2 for that. There must have been an issue. But you can expect to get $25, maybe a little more for the old Champions that are the big embroidery or the big patch sewn on, the reverse weave. Now the most expensive Champions are these. You'll notice, obviously the most expensive isn't the Champion for champion's sake. That's not what we're here for. It's all the colleges from the last video. But this guy here is pretty good. A Champion spell out. They probably got $75. That's pretty good. Reverse weave, Champion spell out, probably $65. So reverse weave, Champion spell out, $30. Reverse weave, Champion spell out, $70. The point is, reverse weave, Champion spell out. That's what you want for vintage Champion. So Columbia. Most of it's garbage. Vintage Columbia sweatshirts, spell outs that we're talking about here. The sell-through rate on them is terrible. It's like 5%. So I'd say Columbia, leave it behind. I mean, look at the only ones that matter are the Columbia University or something else. This one, interesting. It's the 50s, so that's different. But yeah, you can see none of this is about the brand. So Columbia, if it's a Columbia spell out or a Columbia sweatshirt from the 90s that says Columbia on it, and for the most part, just Columbia's garbage. Next we have Ed Hardy. I included this. It's a little different than the ones we've been talking about, but they are out there. The sell-through rate 61%, which is pretty good. You want to look for the Ed Hardys, the more graphic, the big sewn-on patches, the more artistic looking ones. So these are the ones that are active. People are asking over 100, 109, 42. What they actually sell for, 45, probably $1.50, 99, 64 simoleons, 159. So the common thread here, the zip-up Ed Hardys are doing pretty good. The more graphic, the better. Zip-up hoodies are definitely where it's at with Ed Hardy. All of these solds are zip-up hoodies. This one's not a zip-up hoodie, but it is got an embroidered skull that says a big Ed Hardy on top. This sold for the most, and we kind of just looked at all these. But if you see an old Ed Hardy vintage 90s with a zip hoodie with a bunch of graphics on it, grab it, sell it for over $100. Gap. Surprise, surprise, everybody. Gap is killer. Surprisingly, it's one of the best ones. No, it's the second best one on this list. Vintage Gap, spell out, sweatshirts, hoodies. Sell-through rate on them, we have 92 percentage points. Find them, grab them, period. No questions asked. This is what your people have up for sale right now. They're all going to sell. So the ones that have sold look like this. Hoodies, Gap Athletic, Gap, Gap, Gap. They all look the same. 90s, Gap. I'm not sure why. There must have been somebody that wore one. A famous person must have worn one in a video or something. But these have been out there forever just collecting dust. I've been doing this a long time and no one cared about these until the last year or so. Maybe 2 years. So Gap with the spell out, look for it, sell it, grab it no matter what. This is the most expensive ones. The best you're going to get is $40. Maybe 50, but the good news is they're going to sell. Any vintage Gap you find, sweatshirt, will sell. So $30 is a good asking price for a basic one. A little more for the gigantic letters. I would say that's the second best BOLO of the video. Vintage Gap sweatshirts for sure. Next we have Guess Jeans. Guess Jeans have a sell-through rate for vintage sweatshirts of 22%, so very bad. Most of them garbage. The ones you do want to look for are going to be the same as all the rest of them. Big spell outs, sewn on patches, embroidery. More colorful the better. $20 on this. So these are what you're looking for. The best one is this. So your best case scenario is going to be about $30 for a vintage Guess spell out sweatshirt. So yeah, don't grab it unless it's got the big letters, the spell out. The little triangle helps, but any vintage Guess that says Guess really big, has a triangle, where it's clearly from the 90s, is going to be worth picking up if you get it cheap enough. You're not going to get over $35 for it, I would say. Unless it's something really special I haven't seen yet. Harley Davidson, it's kind of an outlier here, but I included it just because I didn't do it in the last video. This is a huge niche that every normie and their brother knows about. Therefore, it's hard to find. It's oversaturated. Most of it doesn't sell for much. That being said, it still has a high sell-through rate of 75% for the vintage sweatshirts. Has to be vintage sweatshirts. Modern stuff, nah, not as good. Not as good at all. Vintage stuff, 75% sell-through rate. Full market size is 1622. So we're looking at 75%, like I said. They're not going to make you a millionaire, but they are worth picking up, and I'll show you which ones you want to look for. Color blocking, 90s. This one was a new listing and it just sold immediately. Anything with wings tends to do good. Eagle heads, all that stuff. All the stuff that goes along with Harley, the more Harley the better. So the eagle, tires, anything with a picture of a, like I was going to say, a picture of a motorcycle is good. Vintage Harley sweatshirts, yes, grab them. They'll sell good. The most expensive one is this here. Appleton, Wisconsin. This here's not bad either. Chrome Harley Davidson long sleeves. This has a pig. I got a story about the pig. I found a t-shirt about a year and a half ago. It was a Harley Davidson t-shirt. I don't even look for these things because, like I said earlier, everybody knows about them. They're never out there. The Goodwills and all the thrift stores, they're in the game, by the way. A lot of your Goodwills are putting their stuff online. I found a t-shirt about a year and a half ago at a local thrift, and it was the Harley Davidson where it was riding hogs and picking up chicks. It had the pigs on it and the chickens riding on pigs and some big bikers on the bikes. I think I ended up with like $350 or $400 for that thing. There is Harley stuff that's worth it. Most of it is garbage, overblown. If it's modern, don't even bother. The good Harley stuff is stuff like this. The eagle heads, the flames, pigs. Anything that looks like this with lightning. You see the lightning's a big deal. So lightning, flames, collabs with like Taz or whatever. These are all good things. Vintage Harley, the more colorful, the more graphic, the better. If it has a pig or an eagle or flames or lightnings, better even still. 2XL, when it comes to vintage Harley, the bigger sizes are a lot better. So keep that in mind. So vintage Harley sweatshirts, definitely go for it. 75% sell-through. Next we have Lacoste. Sell-through rate, vintage Lacoste sweatshirt, 27%, which is trash can style. Some of them are garbage. Leave them behind. In fact, most of them. But the stuff you're looking for is this. A zip-up. That's actually a jacket, but still. Pullover sweatshirt with the alligator. You're not going to get too much for them, but the best ones are these. This is a full suit. That's an outlier. This here, if you saw that, you would have grabbed it no matter what. If you're a reseller and you saw that, you'd grab it no matter what without knowing anything. $92. I'd say that they could have done more, but that's just really interesting, right? Of course somebody bought that, but you're not going to find this. I doubt it. If you do, grab it. For the most part, Lacoste, I'd say, had its heyday about 3.5, 4 years ago in the reselling world. Nowadays, I don't even pick it up anymore. I don't mess with it. But some of the old vintage, if you find color block with the big alligator or something strange on it, it might be worth picking up. But in general, old Lacoste, don't be drawn in. New Balance, sell-through rate 28%, mostly garbage. There are some exceptions. This is surprising, but a pullover sweater. There's a common thread with the New Balance. It's going to be the NB, and then it says New Balance underneath it on the chest. That's what I noticed here. Almost all the ones that have sold for any kind of good money, in fact, that's the next tab, are all similar to that. New Balance on the chest. I doubt they got much more than 80, but still, that's pretty good. New Balance on the chest. This one's really old. It looks like 80s, 90s. I don't think so. I think it's older than that. But New Balance, that one has more graphic and stuff, but $12.50. That's disappointing. In general, New Balance, leave it behind. You come across something nice that looks classic like this one. This is old, 70s and 80s. Look it up. But for the most part, New Balance, nah. Next we have Puma. I can almost say categorically leave it alone. This is the actives. The sell-through rate on Puma, 8%. It's almost 9, so there's that. In general, Puma's trash. Even the vintage stuff, they got $7 for that. So if you want to make $7, go pick up some Puma. Puma, no. Just no. Reebok, again, generally no. That being said, let's look at what actually sells. Stuff other than things that say Reebok. This one is a Reebok spell out vintage. It has all the hallmarks of what should sell for good money. They might have got 35, so that's good. Let's look at the most expensive ones. It's stuff that has nothing to do with Reebok for Reebok's sake. But consequently, I stumbled across this niche here I didn't know about. If you find Carlsberg Reebok sweater, Liverpool, pick it up because these things sell for good money. I just stumbled upon this, and that happens when you do a lot of research. Look at this. This Carlsberg niche is on fire. So if you find Carlsberg Reebok vintage sweatshirts or pullovers or whatever, grab them. But generally, Reebok, leave it behind. It is trash can dumpster fire, on fire, run away. REI, 35%, not great. Generally, leave REI behind. Some of it will sell for good money. This has the print, so if you found that, you'd be picking it up anyway because if you're a reseller, you know. Usually vintage, Aztec, same sentence, sell it. But usually REI in general, it's not a great brand. It's just not. This is the most expensive. This one was new with tags. It's a wool blend. This is a sweater. So yeah, you find this one, $35, kind of an outlier. This has a cool pattern. So there's a chance if you find some old vintage REI that it might be worth it, but the chance is way more likely that you need to throw it in the trash. Next we have Timberland. This stuff has a sell-through rate of 9%. If you find it, take it off the rack and hide it from other people so that they don't accidentally buy it and be stuck with it for 1,000 years. Von Dutch, 18% sell-through rate. But if you do find it, there are still those that buy it for good money, and you can see why. Some of this stuff goes for good money. Let's look at the most valuable. If you find a Von Dutch hoodie with the eyeballs and the big Von Dutch on the chest, or this one here, this one, pick it up. Someone's going to buy it for maybe 40, maybe 25, but it's not what it used to be, for obvious reasons. Next is something that is surprising to me because when this was really popular, I was in my mid-teens, I think. But this was huge back in the day. And right now, at the time of this video, this is the number one BOLO of the list. People are buying this stuff. Someone must have worn it on a video. Someone must have made it famous on TikTok. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. What I do know is it has a 144% sell-through rate. And let's look at what sells. Bum equipment, $35, $20, 55, 44. If you can get the hoodie with the BUM on it, it's going to sell good. Another good one. This stuff, all of it, according to the numbers, all of it will sell if it's vintage and it's bum equipment sweatshirt. All of it, 144%. And next we have Russell Athletic. The old vintage Russell with the spell out where it says Russell Athletic. Hoodies, sweatshirts. And in the other video, you'll see more about Russell Athletic because they did do a lot of sweatshirts with sports teams and high schools and stuff on it. So Russell or Russell Athletic was covered in the last video for the most part. The sweatshirts that have other things on them, sports teams and stuff, those sell really well, the vintage Russells. The Russells that are just about the brand Russell, that say Russell Athletic, they do okay, 54% sell-through rate. The total market size of 427 out there, active and sold added up together. The ones that do sell, I think you get the point. This one sold for 40. This is what I'm trying to show you. These old Russells with the spell outs will sell for good money, 25 to 40 bucks. But it's just hard to find them in the solds because the college thing is out of control. The college sweatshirts, here's another one for probably 25. Another one they probably got 30 for that. So just because you don't see them all together here doesn't mean they're not in the solds for pretty good money. So Russells, pick them up. The vintage Russells that say Russell on them, definitely grab them because they'll sell pretty good and you'll get 25 to 40 bucks for them. Bugle Boy, We have right here, the total market size for Bugle Boy is 241. Sell-through rate's 28%, so that's terrible. A lot of it's garbage. But the ones you do want to look for are the Bugle Boys that have the color blocking, the big brands on the front. These didn't go for much. This one got 25 bucks, 25, 25, 35. The hoodie, 29. Obviously, you would have picked that up. 21. Some of them are the ones with this logo here. This just looks like a Chaps logo or one of the old Tommy Hilfigers. So this logo doesn't do that well because it doesn't say in big letters Bugle Boy jeans or whatever. So I wouldn't get too excited about any of those. Overall, Bugle Boy is not great. They do have some that'll go for good money. If it's got the 90s look, the color blocking with the big Bugle Boy or the BBJC, that's different. Most of the weird, old, boring ones are just, you're going to leave them behind. Unless you want to make $8, just be careful with Bugle Boy. The best one here was a denim jacket. It's not a sweatshirt. But this is the best you're going to do. Bugle Boy Jeans Co. 80s hoodie. And the last brand is Levi's. I had to include it because there's a lot of them out there. You're going to come across them, and I want you to know what to do when you come across them. In general, you're going to just leave it right there. There are some that are worth picking up. As I said in the last video, Vintage Snoopy, grab it. Levi's branded red tab can sell. Pullovers like that can do okay. But the great stuff is the LVC. The Levi's company, the 50s old stuff. Look at this. Pick it up. It's worth it. Those sell well. There's a few of them on this list, actually. Those Levi's company. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. Levi. I think the LVC is Levi's clothing, I think. I'm not sure. That's what you're looking for. And also the big spell outs. This one here, they got $1.86. 186 clams for that. Vintage LVC Bay Meadows sweatshirt. That's another new with tags. This here's from the 60s, so yeah, obviously. In general, Levi's sweatshirts, you're going to want to leave them behind. There's not that many of them that people care about. But I did want to add something here at the end. There's been a few videos where I talked about the problems I have when I'm out looking at stuff with my phone, looking stuff up, and then looking at the solds. I got a new phone just because of that, and my new phone doesn't do that. So just so anyone who's been following this, I guess you could call it a controversy in the comments. Okay, my old phone was a Galaxy S9. It's very old. And there might be something about that when eBay sees the IP address or the whatever identifying thing they have when they see what's accessing their site. They might see it as a possible hacker, so I don't know. But for whatever reason, they hated that phone. My new phone is the Galaxy S23 Plus, and now I don't have the problem. I don't have any problem looking at solds. So just in case anybody was wondering, I don't know why my old phone, they didn't like it. They put a hard lock on how many times I can search solds on the mobile app. But that's the deal. Now it works. So, who knew? That's all you need to know about vintage sweatshirts. If you watch those 2 videos and there's anything you feel like I left out, let me know, and I'll never do anything about it because I've had enough.